Ciao! So finally this baguette video, which has been really a long process to make. Anyway, it's gonna be like a mishmash, a mix of multiple shots that I made of the recipe, but I'm gonna edit it in a way that hopefully is understandable. So enjoy the sourdough baguette video and yeah, have fun. Let's go. Baguette is difficult. La baguette. Baguette is good. Can I make a video about baguettes? Baguette. So I'm gonna write here the ingredients of the recipe. Baguette is a delicate preparation because you want to have the right proportion between the strong proteins of the bread flour and the weaker flour, so to create that crust that is crunchy and breaks nicely while the inside is fluffy and airy and soft. So we start the preparation now in the afternoon, but so tomorrow is going to be the more complicated steps. This recipe is based on the Perfect Loaf website recipe, but it's tweaked with some changes I needed to adjust it, to make it kind of simpler. Among the ingredients that you need is this barley malt extract or something similar, a malt syrup, malt extract, because the original recipe is using malted flour, which I don't have, so I'm going to use this. So I'm using this 50% hydration starter, which normally allows for a lower acidity. In Italy, for example, it's used to make the big brioche kind of cakes like pandoro, panettone, but also for like sourdough pizzas. In this case, we need to bring it to 100% hydration though. Here is the formula that I'm using, but if you have a 100% hydration starter already, it's going to be easier, obviously, because you can use X grams of the starter, X grams of flour, X grams of water, and you still have 100% hydration one, and it's going to work perfectly fine. That's it, so let's try and make baguette. Mesdames et messieurs, la baguette. Should I make baguette? Baguette. Oh, I'm crazy. Pretty nice. It also smells nice. 60 grams, let's see. 60, beautiful. Water, 80 grams of water. Flour, 60 grams, so this is the same amount of flour as the starter. Okay, it's done. Now this needs to wait for around 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Baguette. Okay, so let's start. As you can see, we're starting like in many other bread recipes with very simple, just flour and water. This is the ratios for around 4 baguettes, 4 small baguettes that can fit in your house oven. It's 355 mils of water, and this is 563 grams of flour. This flour is actually a mixture of several flours. You can go for half bread flour and half all-purpose plain flour. So the purpose is to get to around 11.5 percentage of proteins. It's just gonna be classic autolyse. So it's just water and flour. I'm mixing by hand, but you can use a spoon if you prefer it. Now this is you just need to mix the ingredients until all the water is absorbed. Okay, it's basically there. It's not, again, we don't really need to do any kneading. Now we'll cover this and just leave it there in a nice spot in your kitchen for about an hour. By the way, you'd better have a baking stone because that really helps getting the baguettes nice and crispy. So an hour has passed. So here I have my starter, the salt, 12 gram. I'm going to use a teaspoon of malt extract. The remaining water, 50 grams. So the starter, as I said, it's 72 grams to be very precise. It took me a while because actually I was cooking something else there. I'm making a bolognese. Let's show you. Here it is. It's cooking. I need to stir the bolognese, ragu bolognese. Maybe a video about that another time. So now, very easy. We mix all the ingredients. Put the salt, the sourdough starter. The yeast and salt are not super friends, but this is really, if you leave them together, and I think commercial yeast is more sensitive to salt. I'm gonna use just really a regular teaspoon. It doesn't need to be so precise. It's very sticky. Extra water. I'm gonna not put it all in one go. Now just stick your hand and start mixing. Hand like a claw, and it's quite fun actually to stick your hand in this. The dough was pretty stiff, so now I need kind of to break it down and manage to let it absorb the rest of the water that we're adding. It's gonna be way wetter. This kind of dough, the ideal way is put it on the counter and do some energetic kneading. I'll finish the water. You can see here that the dough now is this kind of texture. Okay, now weigh the bowl. I'm going to start doing some slap and fold, which is this. Smash it down the counter, you fold, and then you take it like this, 90 degrees, and so then you rotate, and again. Don't be afraid to use your strength. Initially it might stick a little bit, but that's fine. We don't want to add flour. And you see how the dough already looks much smoother, but still, it's gonna always be sticky, and see it's sticky. I'll show it again. Smash, you kind of pull, fold, and you take it 90 degrees on the side. Smash, fold. Should do it for around 5 minutes. Okay, now my hands are wet. This is gonna help. That's enough. Back in the bowl. So let's cover it and we'll do something else. Very short kneading, folding in 30 minutes. And yeah. Okay, so 30 minutes have passed. we're doing the first stretch and fold, which is the thing that we also do for bread. Just dig down, pull a bit and fold it over. Rotate, let's say 45 degrees, so we'll do several, pull and fold over. And again, stretch and fold. And again, stretch and fold. Until you basically do a full circle. And that's it. First one, we do this 3 times every 30 minutes. See you in 30 minutes. Hey Siri, 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes and counting.
So this is the last stretch and fold, the third one, and we just repeat the movement, stretch and fold, quite gently but firmly. Now I'm going to just leave it out for 10 more minutes, 15 minutes, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge. And it's going to stay in the fridge for 12 up to even 18 hours. So good night, baguette dough. Okay, so a day has passed, more or less, a little bit less, like 16 hours probably. Now from this moment on, the baguettes should be ready to bake in around 2.5 hours. So, you can make your consideration about when is more convenient for you. The first step is going to just be dividing the dough into 4 parts, and then we're going to leave it there for half an hour to start warm up a little bit before the actual shaping into the baguette, the final baguette shape. You shouldn't need flour because the dough now is pretty stiff and cold. It's not very sticky. You can use your dough scraper and it should be fine. Divide it into 4 parts. You can try and weigh 250, seems about right. So right now just try and shape it into a ball, something like that, a little disc. That's fine. Trying to touch them not too much because of the fact that the dough is so sticky. You can probably use some flour if you prefer. Okay. Now they're not even evenly placed, but that's fine. I'm going to leave them here for 30 minutes and we're not going to cover them. They're wet enough. Actually, if they dry a little bit, it's going to be better. It's going to be a little bit easier to work with them. Now, during these 30 minutes, we have time to prepare our couche, which is the place where baguettes can prove, rest and get ready for baking. So before we get to the final shaping of the baguettes, one of the most important things is preparing the place where you're gonna have your baguettes in their final shape and proving. We're gonna prove them for around an hour and 45 minutes. Now there is the exact technical piece of equipment that you need is called couche, which is a pretty stiff fabric that you can shape in a way that has sort of undulation, so you can put the baguettes in the creases of the fabric. Now I don't have that, not yet at least. I might buy one, but in the meantime I managed to find this, which is bathroom mat, which is just plain cotton, but it's pretty stiff and thick, and so it holds the shape. Now to avoid putting the baguettes directly on this kind of material, which is, it's like a towel, so even though we will put flour, it still might stick. I'm gonna use this cloth, this napkin, which is pretty smooth. Again, this is just cotton napkin. Then to create nicely the shape, another thing that I'm using is these 2 rolling pins. Probably you can do without, or you can use something else just to give the initial shape. Now this is only if you actually want to use this trick. You can try and make something yourself. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just rolling a little bit of this towel on one of the rolling pins. So now I need to create basically 4 slots. So as you can see, I'm doing something like this, just creating these creases. And there it is, 3. The 4th is a little bit more complicated here, but I can still do that. They're gonna be pretty skinny. Baguettes are pretty skinny, and if anything, you normally risk to have a place that's too wide, so the baguettes will kind of lose their shape. So if it's a little bit too narrow, it's fine. Now I'm gonna put the napkin. That's also a bit tricky. Now I'm gonna sprinkle flour on this, and also use a good quantity of flour, because you definitely don't want to have the baguettes sticking. If you have the proper one, the Couche, it would be obviously better. In the meantime, I'm showing you this kind of creative trick that you can try and use. Alright, so half an hour has passed, and now we need to shape these baguettes. Now flour is going to be definitely necessary, because these things are pretty sticky. So let's just start flouring the board here. We're going to need some room. Now shaping a baguette takes a little bit of exercise, but it's not impossible. Moving out of the way. Let's flour this one side, and then I'll flip it over. Now we're gonna do first we're turning it into a little roll. So fold it once, turn it over, fold it again, seal, and now the typical part of the process, it's we lift aside and we fold it, and we use our palm and bring it down like that. And we repeat the process on the other side. So again, some flour because it's sticky. We fold and close like this. Okay, it's sealed. And now we put our hands on top and we start rolling to the desired length. I'm not, considering I'm using a normal oven, I'm not gonna do it too long. And also I'm trying to keep it, so actually this is the length that I'm gonna, and then I'm putting it in the couche. I'm gonna show you in a moment. Okay, number 2. And let's start with this little game, this little trick. Fold with your thumb. Should try kind of and taper it a little bit, and so on. Seal. These are more demi-baton than baguettes. It's fine. That's done. And as you can see, the baguettes. Now we're going to cover them with the other napkin that I'm using, and we're going to leave them there for about an hour and 45 minutes. Might depend on the temperature in your kitchen, but after that time, if you can touch them and the dough seems kind of puffy, they should be ready for baking. Voila! Le baguette, huh?
Did they rise at all?
No, they're not supposed to rise really a lot. They just need to have this kind of soft touch. They should rise in the oven. I'm going to transfer them to this tray with a parchment paper on it. The oven is hot. I have a fan oven and it's set to 220 degrees Celsius. It's a fan oven, so that's why the temperature is like that. Otherwise, if it's not, you would want to use a higher temperature. They're going to bake for around 20 minutes, 25 minutes. These are small baguettes, so I think 20 minutes is going to be enough. The setting of the oven is set. Can we have a... As you can see, there is a baking stone. Yeah, close it. There is a baking stone and a tray underneath, and we're gonna pour hot water in the tray because we need humidity while the baguettes are baking.
220 is actually 428.
428 Fahrenheit.
450 is better though, just tell them 450.
Okay, 450 is fine if you don't have a fan, convection, whatever oven. Okay, now delicately put the baguettes, make sure that they are the right size so they will fit in the oven.
Yep.
Just delicately lift them. Don't worry if the shape, try and keep them straight. You don't want a snaky, or maybe you want a snaky baguette, I don't know. Now the last thing we have to do, so we need to score them and immediately put them in the oven. I'm having some help, which is good. Otherwise, try and do these things quickly. Now there's water going in the oven, which will create the steam that we want. I think that's plenty. Now traditionally you score the baguettes with like diagonals, so 3 or 4 diagonals that kind of overlap. And so let's go with the scoring. So scoring blade as usual. 4. I'm silently concentrated. Parchment paper is here because hopefully I'm gonna put them like I was putting a pizza in the oven. It's kind of good. Okay, and now around 20 minutes baking time, and we'll see how it goes. Baguettes look pretty good. And we'll soon see if they also taste good. And they have the right crunch, which we want from La Baguette. Okay, let's see. Sounds pretty good.
Not bad at all. I'm gonna add butter to this though.